Final night. As you look at footage here, courtesy of Disney Dave on YouTube, he flew over the Magic Kingdom, and you get to see just what an empty Magic Kingdom really looks like. Kind of eerie. We also covered this earlier this week at the Disneyland Resort on its final day of operation. We were there to see Downtown Disney's final hours, and the parks had already closed at that point. Unfortunately, it was gloomy and rainy, as it has been sort of unseasonably here in Southern California, and so it just sort of adds to the gloom. It just sort of adds to the depression that's already set in because of all of this. Very chilling indeed, that video, especially based on what we were seeing and how the music was still playing. I think more than anything that was eerie was, the music was still playing, and it was very loud because there were no people around. You just kind of forget how loud that music is, that atmosphere of music throughout Downtown Disney and the theme parks. So very chilling. Again, that video on our YouTube channel at the Kingdom Report, you can check that out. But how long will this go on? So we've seen some predictions there. We've seen some ideas. Those analysts projecting that domestic parks could remain closed through mid-April. What will a Disneyland and a Walt Disney World experience look like when it returns? I say we grab our crystal ball and make some predictions. Prediction circle time. Tyler Crouch, Katrina Manzone will be joining me for this to discuss what will Disneyland and Walt Disney World look like after this shutdown. Guys, there's so much to consider here from a guest perspective. What will things look like? From a cast perspective, what will things look like? From a Disney company business standpoint, there's a lot to consider when we look at just even a 2.5-week shutdown. If they just remain to the current timeline that they put in place for closure, things are still dramatically going to change. They have to, based on everything that's already happened in terms of tens of millions of dollars lost every day with the global parks portfolio being shut down. So let's throw it over to you. What do you think the experience is going to look like after all of this passes?
Oh, man. I think the number one question that I have is what the crowd level is going to look like. Basically because I know tons of people are out there who want to rush back to their favorite place and are looking forward to coming back so much. But at the same time, there's going to be a lot of people out there who think, oh, well, no, I think we should still kind of keep away from mass quantities of people. So the crowd level is just a question that I'm not sure of. After 9/11 happened, which was a completely different thing than this, it's kind of comparing apples and oranges in a certain way. But after 9/11 happened, the parks were all dead for a very long time. And so will that happen again? We're going to have to wait and see. Things like finger touches at the turnstiles over in Disney World. They may decide it's not a good idea to have everybody touch a surface like that anymore. Universal is going to have the same type of problem if they want to change that sort of thing. And
I feel like they're gonna limit capacity in a way, just to get people's peace of mind, because I feel like a lot of people are, like you said, they're gonna be nervous showing up to the park with mass quantities, kind of rushing back, because I know a lot of bloggers and stuff are definitely going to be coming back first day of opening, but I feel like Disney, to kind of keep a peace of mind for all the other people that are coming, they're gonna limit capacity, maybe just to kind of do that and say that we're gonna be cleaning stuff. And then maybe they might be doing limited hours too, to kind of help, so they can thoroughly clean the parks and stuff after they close, instead of being open in midnight, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll also see a lot more hand sanitizer everywhere. I think they're going to probably put literally, I think they're going to put, stations in more places and have
hand washing stations.
Well, I don't even think hand washing stations. I just think Purell. I think, because for a while now, I think, I don't know how the rest of the world is going to be, but I feel like as a nation, at least what I'm finding in California is that everybody thinks that everything is dirty now, which,
yeah.
I was telling you guys earlier through text that I didn't used to be a guy who was afraid to touch shopping carts or baskets or anything like that. Now, every time I touch one, I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I have on me? And I've taken 2 showers a day. I've washed my hands like I'm a surgeon, just to try and keep that. But it's one of those things that oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm keeping clean.
You gotta keep it clean.
You bet.
Is that microphone clean?
No, watch that microphone.
That's right. I am not about to touch anything that will infect me, by God.
I clean that microphone after every host, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, please don't.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Spray it down with Lysol.
So it kind of makes you guys,
The other thing I'm kinda
absolutely. So it
wondering
kind of
is if
makes you
they're
guys
gonna-
wonder, on the back end of this, I mean, obviously cast members are getting paid right now. So that's one of the nice things that Disney is doing is they're paying their cast members for this 2.5 week shutdown. Beyond that, do you think that's going to continue? Like, do you imagine Disney is going to continue paying? I mean, there's 25,000 cast members at Disneyland. There's 70,000 plus at Disney World. Do you think, I mean, at some point Disney is going to sever that connection and say, obviously we can't keep paying for, 2-3 months out when we're not seeing any profit, we're not seeing anything coming in?
Gosh,
Yeah.
I hope not.
They will.
But yeah.
I think they will. Especially, this is going to last longer than they even think. And we were talking about it last week, and I think I wish, I think it's going to last longer than last week's Tyler even thought.
Yeah.
We keep finding out new information, and things keep changing on a daily basis. And you kind of just have to believe in what the CDC says. You kind of have to listen to, Anthony Fauci, and honestly, whatever Anthony Fauci says is what I'll do. So if he tells me to go jump off a bridge, I'd probably do it at this point, honestly.
It'll help. Go jump.
It'll come off you. The
Right.
virus will just jump off you.
But I just think I think that's right to think about that, is that this is going to last for quite a while, and they may find a way to create programs to help some of their cast members, but the average cast member, they're not going to continue to pay them, a month, 2 months down the line. Once we get to like the 2-month mark, can Disney really, everybody knows how much Disney has, but can they really afford to just throw themselves away like that? I mean, that's not, it's one thing to, it's one thing to be able to pay for things like entertainment or keep on rides. It's another thing to just be like kind of throwing money away almost, which is not, I don't mean to sound it like they're doing that, that cast members aren't important, but I just mean that, the cast members aren't actually working. So it's, that's what I mean by throwing money away. But
Absolutely.
Do you think that the execs are going to take a pay cut to help with the people that are doing like hourly wages like Delta did?
I was just about to bring up Delta. The CEO of Delta Airlines taking a full salary cut to try and help.
JPEG.
Yeah, definitely attempting to make a difference, and knowing that the airline industry is going through quite a struggle right now. Nobody is traveling, and everybody is quite fearful of jumping on those planes. So that's a great point. Will executives, will people that make substantially more than say your frontline worker, will they take that pay cut? Will they make an attempt to try and ease the burden? Because I think you're right, Tyler. As sad as it is, as scary as it is to say, I mean, so many people outside of the Disney bubble lost their jobs in the last week, and so many individuals have been laid off left and right, just because they might be in a service industry position. I know there's word that came out about Landry's Restaurants, which owns and operates a lot of different spaces around Disney property on both coasts. Landry's ended up sort of laying off entire staffs, and there's no which way about it. There is no additional revenue that they're kicking in. There is no additional pay that they're giving anybody. It's just hey, hop in that unemployment line. It's a very scary time, and knowing that Disney is putting their best foot forward and paying people right now, I also worry how long that's really going to go on.
Along with the poor cast members who are going to be unfortunately kind of cast aside like the rest of our society right now, it's you can also bet that they're not going to be spending as much money on all their projects that they had going forward. I mean, maybe the things that they have set for Epcot are set in stone. Hopefully that they're not going to cut back Epcot, but they're going to cut back their plans, no doubt about it. And so when we were talking about the e-ticket ride, that's coming to Avengers Campus, that'll probably get cut back in some way. I just, everything going forward here is going to have a new budget, and the budget's going to be very low. They're gonna lose probably $1 billion this year. So I mean, that's a lot of money for any company.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter how much money they have. So they're gonna have to find ways to turn that out somehow. So
you bet. And it's troubling to even think that, you know, so much of, you know, the cast member base is going to be radically affected by this. So many of them living paycheck to paycheck, so many of them, you know, trying to make ends meet on both coasts, and knowing that they're going to have to, you know, deal with this fallout is really tough. Again, I mentioned that other service industry institutions have already let people go in mass. So what Disney is doing, I think, is fantastic. You know, very grateful that they're continuing to pay people in the short term. Just don't know how long they can keep that up. And on top of everything, as we were discussing about here a little earlier, you know, in terms of what the park experience might be like after all of this is said and done, and after sort of people recover and come out of this on the other side, you know, Katrina, you had mentioned obviously the finger scans and stuff like that as you enter Walt Disney World, and you know, your typical theme park guest might very well want to keep that 6-foot radius at all times from people going into the other side of this, because I think this might definitely change perspective for a lot of individuals when it comes to, are we really safe? Are we not? We're going to a crowded place. Let's everybody keep their distance. I keep hearing a lot about potentially virtual queues, you know, for more and more attractions to try and eliminate the reason for people to sort of gather together. Would you guys be for more virtual queues?
Yeah.
I would 100% want virtual queues.
I would really like virtual queues, because then I can like do other things, you know. I don't know. But even then, I don't know. I'm still kind of curious on the whole like band thing too, because even that has germs on it. So when you do and scan, and then let's say you like touch your band, I don't know. Now I'm thinking about like all these things that could like possibly have germs on it. And it's like so bad for
everything
like,
has germs on
sanity.
it.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering too. Like, I'm honestly wondering if they're going to make sweeping big changes. Like, if you walk into a sit-down restaurant, are they going to require you to use some type of hand wipe or Purell station when you go in for a while? I mean, that could possibly happen. When you go to a quick service restaurant, are they going to put all of the utensils in the back now and let the cast members give you the utensils rather than having a big vat of utensils outside? Like, you know, I think they're going to have to kind of think about these things. I think we're going to kind of change as a society. I think you're going to go to the grocery store now, and there's going to be, you know, Clorox wipes for every shopping cart you want to touch. And I think we're going to change as a society, not just at Disney, you know.
Yeah, I think a big psychological change is definitely going to happen for everybody coming out on the other side of this. And when you think about your Disney Parks experience, you know, maybe now on sort of a lighter note, you know, you'll have some personal space when you dine at places like the Blue Bayou and, you know, the Mexican restaurant inside the Pyramid at Epcot. You won't be sitting on other people's tables and conversations. Maybe we really will be distanced out. And I can only hope that the same thing goes with the airline industry. Maybe we'll also see some space put in between seats, huh?
I really hope so. Wouldn't that be nice? No middle seats.
Right.
Can you do that for El Capitan too? Because those seats are way too close.
Here in Hollywood, absolutely.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Old-timey theater.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That'd be the best.
Yeah. Well, guys, when you think about your future from a Disney parks and a theme park going perspective, you know, are you going to change your behavior on the other side of this? You know, are you going to be thinking about the railings you touch and worried about the individuals, you know, that you're standing in line with that might be breathing on the back of your neck?
I guess I won't hug you anymore.
Please don't. No, I mean, I
think I might stay away from like people, like it makes sure like they're not like super close to me, and I think I might partially like get weirded out if people just keep coughing and like using their hand. Because I even just the other day I went to like UPS and there was a guy literally sitting there at Starbucks outside, and he was just like coughing out loud, like not even covering his mouth, and everybody like ran into the street to get away from him. And I feel like that I might do that for a couple months in line.
I think it's one of those things where after a while, I'll probably go back to being a little more relaxed. But, you know, it is going to be more at the forefront of my mind now than it ever has been before. Not to say I didn't wash my hands before, but maybe I would do like a quick wash or something like that, you know, not really use soap possibly, but now I'll probably use soap every time. And, you know, even though the soap at Disneyland, for example, has no germ-killing potential, it's 100% lotion-based. That still does help. It still does help when you are washing your hands to get stuff off. So, every soap counts. A lot of people forget, I think, in this day that soap is actually more important than like pre-roll and stuff. So I think washing your hands is really going to be the thing that I do more often than I used to, even though, again, not saying I never wash my hands, but just it'll be something that's on my mind more for sure.
Yeah, you're far more cognizant of it now, absolutely. And I worry, like you guys said, to a much lesser degree. Obviously, we're all concerned about what's happening with the health effects of the coronavirus and everything that's going on with COVID-19. But from that Disney Parks perspective, you're absolutely right, Tyler. You mentioned a little bit earlier when it comes down to all the projects that were sort of happening at the moment. I know that Disneyland, as soon as the park closed, they raced into the parks themselves. Work crews did to start big infrastructure projects that they had been tabling for the last couple of years because they just never had time to do it, and it was always going to be a dramatic guest impact. So they sort of moved in to start these big initial projects to try and at least use the time wisely. And then within a couple of days, kind of what's happened across the country is, we've watched as more and more orders have been sweeping through, dictating that now, groups of 10 or more cannot congregate, and, it needs to be less and less and less as they go on. Finally, it looks like the state of Florida is taking a little bit more of a sweeping action. They were kind of late to the party, I guess, in terms of the majority of the states that had already done so, and now beaches are being shut down. No more spring break partying, unfortunately, right? Yeah. Shame on them.
We've all seen that viral video. I mean, I got a little pissy when I saw that, but I'm glad that they're finally putting their their rules in order and doing a curfew at night and trying to get people off the beaches, and because everybody has to help one another, and if we can just stay away for a couple weeks and try to see if this curve or whatever thing will happen, then I hope that in the next couple weeks they start seeing a decrease of people getting this virus. That's all I wish.
Absolutely.
I feel like this virus is going to be around until we have a vaccination for it, and
flatten the curve.
And so when we get a vaccination, that's when we can stop worrying as much, I feel like. But because the thing is it might go. I feel like it's going to go up and down, right? So I think we're going to get into a down period, and everything's going to sound like it's fine. And then if we start going out more, it's going to come back again. And there's flu season. The flu never really goes away, and Corona will never really go away. It's going to be with us for the rest of our life. But at least hopefully we'll make this vaccination for it, and we can live our lives, Corona free, except for the beer. We'll keep the beer around.
Yeah, grab yourself a lime. Absolutely.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.